Ladies and gentlemen, the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, KOC, Kevin O'Connor.
Yeah,
so cool.
What's up, guys?
Hey, is it freezing ass cold in Minnesota already or what?
It's getting there, Pat. It's getting there. It kind of came on this week, really, for the first time. Walked out and had a couple inches of snow on the ground. Wasn't quite ready for it, hence the sitting inside with a vest on.
Yeah, you know, it'll really smack you in the mouth out there. It is bitterly cold, but that's what we love about it. Mm-hmm. And also that city is built so you don't have to go outside. They understand it's cold as hell. Let's talk about your team. Early in the season, Coach, I don't know if you felt this way, but outside looking in, it felt like although the football gods blessed you last year, 11-0, I think, in 3-point or less games last season. Obviously, every game came down to the final minute with you guys, and you won a bunch of great ones. Then the beginning of the season this year went the complete opposite direction, and now your team gets back to playing great ball, and then you lose a quarterback. If you could describe this season in one particular way, would it be that the football gods have been incredibly rude to you? And have you thought about that at all, Coach?
You know, Pat, the way I looked at the early part of the season was, you know, it's great to look back on last year and all those one-score games, Kirk's fourth quarter comebacks, all those things. But I looked at it as, you know, my job was to continue chasing, doing the things that win football games, not consistently doing things to lose them, which I felt like we did early on in the football season. And what that provided was an opportunity for our team to really look in the mirror. We had some, you know, real straightforward dialogue of we've got to do some certain things better. We've got to possess the football better. It's got to mean something to us. It's got to be something we work and practice more and more and more. We had already done it before, but it really turned into we had to decide if we were going to respond in tough moments. And I think the response to that adversity and really how winning that 4 out of the last 5, how we've done it without Justin for a chunk of that time, Kirk playing some of his best football of his career. We get a new lesson now. Now we have to deal with, hey, we handled some success well. We overcame some adversity, but now we've got to continue to move onward without a quarterback who is maybe playing as well as anybody in the National Football League.
Good, AJ.
Coach, how do you I guess stay positive and keep your team kind of on a steady track of not getting on that roller coaster? I mentioned it a lot. Like the NFL season can be a roller coaster, ups and downs, no matter what team you're on. How do you kind of keep the faith early on and let your team know, like, hey, we're going to come out of this thing, we're going to be fine?
Yeah, I think the important thing is, you know, confidence and that positivity that you talked about. It's got to be real, but I think the number one thing that, you know I looked for as a player, I'm sure you guys did as well. I'm sure Coach Pagano felt the same way. The number one thing for a coach is to be authentic and have relationships with the players, to be able to tell them not what they want to hear, but what they need to hear. And then ultimately a plan moving forward of how we're going to progress and grow and improve. And normally it comes circling back to hard work, you know, accountability, detail on what you're doing. And it's not me just talking about it. It's our players kind of having the ownership of it, knowing that we're there supporting them every step of the way. We're coaching them hard. But ultimately, when they start seeing the results, hopefully you can look back on the process you had, which allowed you to get to that moment. And when the results aren't the way you wanted, like they were early on in the year, it gave us all a real good lesson to just be able to look inward, figure out what we need to do better individually, collectively. And like you guys talked about, the football started to turn around a little bit. I think our team is confident. I think they've learned that maybe some teams throughout the season go through, you know, some rough stretches. And we always talk about, hey, that team right there is playing their best football in the month of December or January, where normally they've gone through some adversity to get there.
Yeah.
I talked to our team about, hey, our adversity hit the first 3 weeks of the season. And I've referenced the 3 games, really the month of November when I was with the Rams. We didn't win a game for like 33 days or whatever it was, and we hoisted a Lombardi. So I've referenced that. I try not to talk about it too much because this team is its own, and we're going to be our own story. We're writing our own story. But all the teams that play well towards the end of the season have had adversity hit at one point. It just came right out the blocks for us, which I think it's hardened this team. I think these guys now, they're confident because they've earned the right to be confident.
Yeah, and you reference a lot of every team has to go through some adversity. There's only one undefeated team, right, in the history, 1972 Dolphins. And then Coughlin, I think, was almost fired or being talked about getting fired with that Giants team like week 12 or week 11, and then they get hot. Everything's still in front of you, but this next chapter is obviously going to look different. You talk about Kirk Cousins playing at an all-pro level, and then obviously we lose him to a devastating one. We're all going to miss you, Kirk. We're all going to miss you, Kirk.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Kirk. We're all going to miss you, Kirk. But now you got to look to this next chapter. Jaron Hall, a quarterback this weekend, is what's being reported. You'd make the trade for Josh Dobbs. How many quarterbacks were you guys potentially looking at? Don't have to tell us. But at what point did you know Josh Dobbs was the perfect guy to come in to your offense and potentially be able to lead the team to where you guys still have desires to go?
Yeah, Pat, we looked at a lot of different scenarios, different guys that have played, guys that maybe didn't have a ton of experience. And we really, inevitably came to the conclusion that Josh, being available at kind of the right time for us, a guy that had started and played a lot of football this year, when you really turned on the tape, the things he was doing to move the team in Arizona against, the San Franciscos of the world and Baltimore's and just different teams that you watched him go out and play quarterback. You saw the athleticism. I know he's very smart and intelligent. And we ask our quarterbacks to do a lot here. So we wanted to make sure we were adding somebody to the room depth-wise, whether he ends up playing or Jaron, continues to play, or potentially Nick Mullins coming back off IR. We wanted to have options because we feel like really the table has been set by Kirk. The formula for our offense is there, even without Justin Jefferson, who should hopefully return soon. We feel like we've got a great group up front playing along the O-line for our quarterback and our offense. And then we've got skill players, where at every position we feel like those guys just doing their job, doing a little bit more for the quarterback across the board. You never want to say just plug and play. It's the hardest position in sports, so don't get me wrong. But I want to have whoever's playing quarterback for us go out there and just feel like, hey, all I got to do is do my job. And if I do that and put the ball in play, rely on the guys around me, this team's going to have a chance to play really good football because we're playing good on defense. I love what Brian Flores and his group are doing. And like I said, the talent and the skill players we have makes it fun to go to work every week and draw up some plays. I can tell you that.
Punter, right? You're punter and then quarterback.
And, yep.
Yeah, for the hardest position in all sports.
Right there. Yeah. Right there, for sure.
You just talked about B-Flow. Chuck has a question for you.
Yeah, speaking of B-Flow, Coach, I know this was a great hire and a big get for you in the offseason, transitioning out from the old defense coordinator. But you guys love to pressure. B-Flow loves to pressure. Being an offensive coach, I know as a defensive-minded head coach, I know where I gravitated to every single day. I'd go into the offensive meeting room, and listen to the staff, talk and things like that. How much involvement do you have because he's got those cats flying around, and it seems like from a communication standpoint, understanding standpoint, like we're blitzing at like 52%, number one in the National Football League, and it's working. How much involvement do you have with B-Flow, and do you ever have to like step in and say, hey, maybe let's maybe defend one time here. Maybe we play a little Tampa 2 and drop the nose tackle or whatnot. But I love watching this group play.
Yeah, I think it's a great point because I think my involvement is more just that 30,000-foot view of the game plan, what we think it's going to take to win the game, and my background, Flo's background, our football philosophies. Really, I noticed really quickly when I sat down to speak with him, in the interview process, just how similar we look at the game as far as trying to equip our players with tools to, not only have an advantage, but try to apply pressure with those tools, mentally and physical pressure. And that sometimes is sending 7 or 8 guys forward. Sometimes that's the illusion of, sending those guys forward and you are dropping 8 in coverage out of the same look. Sometimes it's, presenting different looks that all look and feel the same that require the utmost urgency to try to fix problems. But then defensively, you're able to change up what you're doing out of those looks and just try to be one step ahead. Continue to apply things that offensive coaches are having to, do really two things. They stay up late trying to figure out how they're going to handle certain looks that we provide. But the other thing is I think it shrinks the call sheet and you see less plays, you see less variations. You really have to try to avoid a catastrophe. And I'm just speaking from experience off of one training camp going against them every day. I was ready for training camp to get over. I can tell you that.
Yeah, they always say they always say the players want to hit another helmet. You were excited to, yeah.
Yeah, I was about ready to have Flo take a couple days off there towards the middle of August just to allow us to teach our offense a little bit. But it was great work for us. It allowed us to grow as an offense. But more importantly, we were having conversations in August that you're normally having in November and December playing against, schemes that really tax you on a short week. Hey, get ready for this pressure, that look. We got to have an answer versus this. We were doing that in real time during training camp. So it was growth for everybody. Love what Flo's done. Love the way the group has really embraced, not only the philosophy, but they make it come to life every week. We can only do so much as coaches. It's on the, our players and our leadership to make it come to life and really offensively, defensively, special teams. That's been the most, gratifying thing for me this year is just even in times of adversity, I've seen our guys, completely go all in, make it their own, and then make it come to life when we need it the most.
Here's some B-Flow stats from October. Number 1 in the NFL in forced fumbles, 3rd in yards allowed per game and per play, had 2 defensive touchdowns in 1 month. That baby, B-Flow. Hey.
Oh.
And to you, KOC, obviously it's your team. Yeah. When you talk about philosophies and everything kind of looking the same, it does feel like guys are open in your offense. Connor has a question for you.
Yeah, Coach, obviously there are 0 situations where it's nice to have Justin Jefferson on the sideline, but over these last few weeks, Jordan Addison has become one of, if not the focal point of the offense. As this has happened, have you kind of gone back into the lab like, oh, there are some plays that I thought might not have worked before where now I know one of these two guys is going to be open no matter what just from the looks Jordan's been getting over the past couple games?
Yeah, I think, we've seen defensively a shift when you take the best receiver in football off your team, and really that dictates so much we see coverage-wise, so much we see defensively, game in and game out. We've kind of seen some different things that allowed us to maybe feature Jordan or TJ, KJ, allow Kirk to really kind of just, get us into the best play possible, provide him with, multiple answers regarding, different man, zone, pressure, no pressure, all those things. And what I think was the best was just our players' ownership of that. You can have everything drawn up in the world from a, game plan standpoint and come up with every, nuance and concept variation that you want. But if your players can't go out there and flawlessly go execute that and play fast, you're really wasting your time. So I credit our guys. I credit for them for, and Kirk really bringing along this group, having confidence in guys to really come to life before our very eyes. And it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to coach just because you do have that balance of creativity that you're trying to do everything you can to help your guys go have success. But then also knowing that, there's some times we can just put number 3, put him in the spot Justin was in when we ran this, and let's see what happens. And there's been a couple of those times where I think Justin's been as excited as anybody to see Jordan do some of the things that he's been able to do.
We as NFL fans are very excited for Justin Jefferson to get back into the game, but it has been fun to watch Jordan Addison grow into a superstar over the last few weeks. Obviously, an incredible October run. Ty has a question for you that is a little deep thinker. Is a deep thinker.
Deep cut, yeah.
A little bit of a deep cut.
Whoa, you're muted.
I'm muted. Sorry, I got some leakage in my ear.
Oh, guy's got a hole in his eardrum, Coach. Battling through
it right now. But
adversity.
Yep, absolutely. And you talked about that adversity early in the season. Obviously, when you're going through all of that, and I'm sure you're not paying any mind to it, but there's all that outside chatter of all the Vikings are going to start selling off pieces. It started with all the the talk with Cousins potentially getting moved to the Jets or wherever else. And in this day and age, obviously, I mean, again, you're not talking about that, but I assume that some of that stuff kind of leaks into the locker room when you hear they were going to be selling off parts. But what kind of message does it send to the team when at the trade deadline you guys were buyers and you kind of do solidify your roster and it lets everyone on the team know, like, hey, we're in a good position here and we can still go do everything that we initially wanted to before the season started?
Yeah, I think the easy answer would be for me to sit here and say, hey, we don't listen to any of it, ignore the noise, all those things. I would be naive in 2023 to think that, for in whatever platform, those types of rumors and those types, that type of information, it's out there. So I think it'd be incredibly naive of me not to at least reaffirm to our players the belief in what we're doing. That's individually, that's one-off conversations with our leadership, with young players. And then when I stand in front of the team, they know that I'm always going to be honest with them. They know that I mean what I say. And I have the luxury of an organization that, we're very collaborative with how we do things. There's no surprises. And quite honestly, we believe we can win football games here. So being able to say those things to our guys and kind of quiet that noise, I think is the better term, besides just try to ignore it and hope I hope our guys don't hear this, because it is a distraction. It is something that if you allow it to be, that's on me as the coach. That's on us as a coaching staff. We try to over communicate. We try to make sure our guys understand how much we care about them, how much we believe in them. And then we go to work and we teach them and develop technique, fundamentals, all the things that makes this profession great. I believe that that's what should come out of us in moments of adversity. And it's no different this week. It's no different moving forward without our quarterback, without Justin for however much longer he's going to be out. We've been without Marcus Davenport. It's more than just next man up. It's a collective group effort. When adversity hits, I believe everybody should strive to be at their best when it's required.
Hell yeah. Hey, Coach. That's what I just heard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Oh, yeah.
How old are you? I should know this. Better interviewer.
I'm 38 years old.
Oh,
Whoa.
shit. This guy's old as hell. Old as dirt, this guy. I think what you just gave was a pretty transparent, modern answer. Yeah. Everybody hears everything. Those old school adages, don't read the press clips. It's impossible. It's because even if you go into public now, everybody knows everything about everything. So it's going to get mentioned to you at some point in your life. So nipping that in the bud and also having a whole organization aligned. We just talked to Coach Saban about that. Alignment is the biggest deal. That's what it showcases, I think. Last question for you here. We appreciate your time on this glorious Thursday from a man wearing a fresh Army hoodie.
Thank you. Yeah, Coach. Obviously, Kirk is an athlete, okay? But it felt like in the second year.
Whoa.
What?
What was that?
I haven't even got there yet. But it felt like in the second year under your offense, there was a lot of he was hitting that last step and the ball was coming out. It was going to the right place. All the things that you like to do. Now, watching Dobbs, watching Jaron Hall at BYU, it feels like they have slightly more potential to go off script when things don't go right. Does that change your play calling at all, or how does your play calling potentially change now that you have those two potentially as your quarterback?
Yeah, I think, with Kirk, there was really 2 years of so much one-on-one time, so much, dialogue between him and I, kind of crafting organically what we're trying to build here, what we have built here. I think with whether it's Jaron this week, or moving forward, or Josh or Nick Mullins, I think the big thing for us is trying to design and craft an offense where that guy just feels like walk in the huddle, call a play. I know my job. And if I do it with great technique, fundamentals, timing, accuracy, things that we believe these guys can do, good things will happen. Now, I do believe that all three of those guys and really Jaron, I do believe that the athleticism comes into play in this position that allows you to create some things off schedule, do some things that, we failed you as a coach. I gave you a bad play. I gave you a bad, it was the wrong play at the wrong time. And we somehow stay on the field because you're able to overcome that. That's conflict resolution. And I think these guys have the ability to do that. Never, ever do you want to try to rely on that to move the football. But when it happens, let's go down and finish this drive and score some points. And we'll all look back on that one play or that one set of downs where you stole us a first down with your athleticism or an explosive pass off schedule. And you say that was a game-changing play. There's no reason in the world why they can't make those plays. And combine that with what I hope is confidence in our offensive scheme to play in rhythm. Hopefully we can still be a very difficult offense to defend.
Yeah, I'd assume you're going to be. Okay. Yeah, I like the humility. I do appreciate it. Also, your mic'd ups are awesome because everything you just said, you're the same guy on Sundays on the mic'd up segments. I don't know if you watch those back. Do you watch those back?
I only watch it back when I know I said a lot of things I shouldn't have from a language standpoint, just to make sure we cut those out. But no, I wouldn't need to watch him because, I talked about authenticity. That's great. I do believe being the same guy every day, regardless of circumstance. It's the best leadership I've ever been around has been like that. I don't want to call it comforting, but I believe that's what I would want if I was on a football team, fighting, scratching, clawing to try to do everything coach was asking me to do. The least I can do for my guys is be the same guy every day. And that's never going to change despite, any adversity that may hit. I'm going to just keep on trying to be the best version of myself for this organization. Got really good players, great leadership, and a lot of trust in that allows me to do that, Pat.
Great stadium, great uniforms, and a great run that could be told here in the future. We appreciate the hell out of you. Definitely are late to a meeting. That's on us. Same person every day except for when you talk to the doofuses. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Kevin O'Connell. Sorry, buddy.